Hello, this is James Rotondi for Acoustic Guitar Magazine. Coming to you from my studio in Music City, Nashville, Tennessee, where I'm extremely happy to play a bit for you and to present to you the Gibson G-45, a brand new guitar from Gibson Guitars, and I suppose a special guitar for Gibson because of the price point for its acoustic, in part. Coming in just under $1,000, about $999 retail for this G-45 Studio. Now the G-45 Standard, a little different. This one has a satin top. You'll get a gloss top on the slightly larger G-45 Standard, and that is got a street price of $12.99. Price is one thing, but build and enjoyment factor are another thing. And I've got to say, this guitar really meets all those criteria beautifully. For starters, it's just such a comfortable guitar. As soon as you sit it in your lap, you feel at home with it. It feels like a guitar you might have grown up with. It has this lovely round shoulder shape, much like its namesake, the J-45. And this lovely satin finish on this Sitka spruce top. You can see it has some lovely striping and some lovely detail, just very organic detail in the wood. So it's got this beautiful walnut back and sides. Again, lovely striping, lovely natural wood grain to this. Again, just a guitar that kind of screams organic from the get-go. And again, you've got walnut back and sides, which is interesting. You've got the Sitka spruce top. You've even got a walnut bridge here. The neck is made of something called Capo, also known as util, which is an African wood considered very similar to mahogany. And overall, there's just a very woody, organic, and what I would call a bronzy or coppery top end to this sound. Unlike its namesake, the J-45, which typically we think of as I suppose, a little bit more rounded and maybe a little bit darker sounding. But this guitar has a lot of zing, a lot of ring, and then a lot of nice bass response around the, if you play right around the sound hole. So let's hear the G-45 with a bit of just, sort of big strumming, maybe big classic rock strumming, folk strumming, just some kind of using a pick, just nice, big, powerful strumming. Get an idea of how much projection and what kind of character this thing has when you hit it. And believe me, this thing can take a little bit of muscle too. The G-45 plays very nicely up the neck. It's not a guitar that you're likely to fatigue a lot when playing, and it's a guitar that really doesn't fight you much as you play up the neck. You'll generally find that single note lines are fairly easy to play. Full bar chords up the neck or partial bar chords are not difficult to play. The action is good, the setup is really nice. Again, up there in the sound hole towards the neck is where you get that really nice fullness in the bass. This guitar also stays in tune beautifully, I should add. It's got the beautiful Grover mini tuning pegs and tuning machines. And it stays in tune remarkably well. But let's check it out. Let's check out some of the detail with this guitar when we do a little bit of more of a fingerstyle approach, which this guitar is very well suited to, and I would say particularly in terms of studio use. So let's check that out. like I said, this guitar does play super nicely up the neck. The fingerboard is a beautiful, nice, just natural wood. Has a very earthy quality. And the shape of the neck, I wouldn't call it a thin neck. I wouldn't call it a fat neck. It just has a nice, nice feel to it. What Gibson likes to call advance response. You'll certainly are very likely to feel quite comfortable with this neck right away. And although it's not a cutaway, I tend to feel that the access to these upper frets, certainly to this the 15th fret neck joint, certainly up to here you have just nice access, and personally I like being able to move a little bit on this, just upwards of the 12th fret, even if I'm not playing a cutaway. And this guitar does that really beautifully. Although you may find that a lot of your favorite stuff with this guitar are just those nice big lower position chords. The fact is, you're gonna get a lot of mileage up here. Let's check it out on some single note lines. One nice thing about a guitar that has this much character, especially at this price point, and has that, like I said, sort of bronzy, coppery top end, is that it typically will take very well to alternate and open tunings. So I've got it in a bit of a dadgad tuning here, and let's check out what it sounds like in dadgad. Just as an example, when you drop that low E string down to a D, for example, regardless of what the other strings are doing, you tend to get a certain character, and you tend to hear certain frequencies out of guitar that maybe you don't always hear in standard, partly because of where we're voicing chords, and partly because we're not maybe playing as many open strings as usual. But let's check out what this guitar sounds like in more of an alternate tuning. It's also always great when a guitar, any guitar really, but an acoustic guitar that has a rich, full tone in open, being played open, also sounds great when you capo up the neck a little bit, and you still retain a decent amount of that fullness that you get when you're playing without a capo. This one, the G-45 Studio, I think does a great job of that. You can be up here even as high as, say, the 6th fret, and sure, it thins out a little bit, but in a nice way. It gives you that nice capoed character. But if you can hear, you're still getting, you can still hear that nice natural reverb, and there it is. A lot of it comes out, again, just at the edge, very end of the neck here. Sounds nice. Let's listen to a little bit of that. Now, the Gibson G-45 Studio is loaded with a very nice undersaddle Fishman Sonotone OEM pickup system, and does a good job of reproducing the overall balance of this guitar, the low end response of this guitar, and does a good job of taking care of the basics with a fairly basic guitar, which nevertheless happens to have a rather character-rich tone. So I just want to give you a little sense of what it sounds like through an amplifier, in this case a Fender Acoustasonic Junior, with just a touch of room reverb, but other than that, a fairly straight setting with the frequency settings fairly pretty much at noon, without any, I'm not really trying to add any particular frequencies to this, but this is kind of the shape you're going to get. That sounds. Let's check it out with the amplifier. So there it is, the Gibson G-45 Studio. Again, this is James Rotondi coming to you from my studio here in Music City, East Nashville, Tennessee. And on behalf of Acoustic Guitar, thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.